Hello and welcome back to the show. I am backstage at the Electric Ballroom with Adrian from Northlane. How you doing?
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm not too bad, thanks. You're currently touring your album Singularity, which came out earlier this year. What influences are behind the album, and what are the differences between the first and this album?
Well, differences, I'll start off with the differences. Pretty much the first record was written in a guitar tablature program called Guitar Pro. So it was pretty much all computer generated sound effects. It's just an easy way to write, and that's the way our guitarist Jonathan Dealey was writing. But on Singularity, we started writing straight into a recording session, playing the guitar, jamming the songs out, and it added way more of a human element to the songs, which you can hear. As for influences, I'm influenced a lot, not just by music, but by writers, books, documentaries, films, artwork, photography, and I guess everything that I experience in some way, consciously or subconsciously, ends up influencing the art that I create and that we create.
What would you say is the fan reaction to the latest album?
It's been received really well, not only by the fans, but by the critics as well, which has been extremely flattering. We're really stoked with how it's been received, although, we're happy with it ourselves. I think that's the main important thing. I really, without sounding too crass, I really don't care what people think of our music, but except for what we think of our music. But it is a definite positive sign that it has been received well by the global community.
Yeah, and also, if you didn't care about what your music sounded like, there's no point in making music.
Exactly. You should do it for yourself and no one else, right?
Exactly. You're currently on your Never Say Die tour. Where are you going, and where have you been so far?
Well, before the Never Say Die tour, we actually did our own 2 headline shows in Russia, in Moscow and St. Petersburg, which was really, really cool. But then the Never Say Die tour kicked off in Wiesbaden, Germany. Then we went to Cologne, Germany. And then we headed straight to the UK. We did Birmingham. Last night we did Glasgow, and tonight is London. It's our first time in Europe and UK, so we're really excited.
How are you finding it so far?
Really cool, man. Like, Australia is a relatively young country compared to Europe and the UK.
Yeah.
So just being amongst the cool architecture and the more historical side of the world is just brilliant. I'm 22 and I've been at home for the past 22 years, so I'm really excited to see bigger and better things.
I feel your pain with that. Don't worry about it.
Hell yeah.
And also, Australia is a bigger country than Europe, considering Europe's a whole bunch of countries and Australia's just one. What are the differences in kind of going from one city to the other compared to Europe, where everything's so close together?
Yeah, well, you definitely have to plan for longer trips. Also, there's no tour buses in Australia, and if there are, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
So if we're traveling, we try to travel in planes, but if we can't afford it, we travel in vans, like 8 to 12-seater vans. So we don't usually get the most comfortable sleeps.
Yeah.
The drives are long, anywhere from 9 to 14 hours.
Between cities?
Between cities sometimes, yeah, for sure, yeah. And, well, if you include, like, stops for petrol and food and whatnot, they ends up getting, quite long trips. And, yeah, like, especially in the summer, it can get really hot, unless you have good air conditioning. And it is quite different. Being in Europe and UK with these tour buses and everything has been quite, like, luxurious for us. I've been really getting used to the bunk situation. We have full beds and sleeping arrangements, air conditioning, and, like... a toilet on the bus, and we also get fed and catering at all the shows, so it's they take care of us on the Never Say Die tour. It's really nice.
And also, you say with the Australian summers being quite warm, we've just had our summer, well, we call it summer, and you're in a jumper and a scarf, and it's not that cold. Well, for me it's not that cold, but is it that cold? It can't be that cold, surely.
Right now?
Yeah.
It's not that cold. It just gets a bit windy sometimes.
Yeah.
And me personally, as a singer, I really like my performance. Wind. Yeah, really depends on my health and on my well-being. So even if I shed a few beads of sweat, if it keeps me warm and it keeps me like healthy, I don't mind. So, but yeah, it's not that cold here right now. Anyway,
you're just being all dressed up warm, because I am sweating.
Yeah, it got a little bit hot earlier on. I'm fine though.
Just making sure. Unfortunately, like I said, the summer's just finished. Well, to us, summer's just finished. Yours is just starting. But what have you been up to this year, and what does the rest of the year hold for you guys?
Well, okay. Well, we started off the year with, I believe, I think it might have been our World Eater tour, or even the Soundwave tour in Australia, which was like probably one of the bigger festivals, like metal rock festivals, to hit Australia. And that was absolutely awesome. It was the first big festival tour we'd been a part of. It was an experience of a lifetime and definitely one of the highlights of my entire life. We did our headline tour. Before that, we actually went to Canada.
Okay.
We toured with Structures, Texas in July, and Intervals, who are all awesome bands. That tour was awesome. Directly after that, we did our headline Singularity tour for our album launch, which was really cool as well. We played some awesome venues and we sold a lot more tickets than we perceived that we ever would. So that was great. We had like 1 or 2 months break after that. Then we toured with an Australian prog rock band called Carnival.
Yeah.
We played some awesome venues with them. They're an awesome band to support, and they inspired us every night we watched them play. Then we had a couple more weeks off, and we did regional or rural dates in Australia. So we're visiting the more country towns of Australia just to, reach those kids that don't always make it to the city shows.
Yeah, because as we said, Australia's quite big.
Yeah.
So your closest city could be like 6 hours away or something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, exactly. Anywhere from 6 to 12 hours away, and there's all these little regional rural towns on the way. So we thought we might as well hit those spots. And then we had a couple more weeks until we started our Russian and European, UK Never Say Die tour dates. And here we are now.
Also, you've been pretty busy this year,
Yeah, it's
to say the least.
yeah. We for the past like 12 to 24 months, things have really kick-started and snowballed, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be stopping anytime soon.
Well, thankfully, that'll be the case.
Oh, exactly. I believe we have Christmas and New Year's off to see our families and our girlfriends and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned earlier, I'm 22. I just want to explore and see the world. It's about that time.
And like I said, I don't blame you. But what else after this tour does the year have in store for you?
Well, we have 5 days off after this tour. Then we head straight to the US to do a tour with Vela Maya and Structures,
Okay.
which will be absolutely awesome. I'm really keen to see the New World and North America again. We've only been to New Jersey, and that was to record our album with William Putney at the Machine Shop. So this time around, we're going to see the whole country. Like I mentioned, we have Christmas and New Year's off, which is great. And we start off next year with a bang for the Big Day Out festival tour in Australia, with such names as Pearl Jam, Snoop Dogg, Mac Miller, a lot of mainstream artists. So it'll be a cool tour to be a part of.
So it's just kind of just a whole festival full of everyone and anyone, really.
Yeah, well, we to be honest, we are one of the bands that sort of stick out on the lineup. But Big Day Out has been known in the past to have a variety of artists, which is always good.
Awesome. If I had the money and the plane ticket, I'd go.
Oh,
But
yeah.
what has been the craziest moment this year for you guys that
This
you've
year?
experienced?
Wow, there's been quite a few. Number one would definitely have to be Sydney Soundwave. That's something I dreamt of playing growing up as a teenager. I've been to Soundwaves, as a spectator before,
Yeah.
and it's just a awesome, organized festival. One of the best festivals in my opinion, and then being a part of it was even better. The way they take care of the artists is phenomenal. I remember at one of the shows they had jacuzzis and
Oh, wow.
awesome catering and all sorts of cool stuff for the artists, even for the smaller acts, which was really cool. And then I guess for me the second biggest highlight would be coming to Europe and the UK for sure, including Russia. I'm a big sucker for geometrics and architecture and art in general.
Yeah.
And I guess you can view buildings and architecture as an art form, and they can really give you that awesome awe-filled wondrous sensation, and it can seem quite surreal when you're experiencing all of that. And I feel really lucky and thankful that I get to do all this, really.
You sound like the most artistic bloke I've ever met. That's a compliment, by the way.
For a vocalist, that's a big compliment. Thank you.
And if you could have any superpower, which one would you have and why?
Oh man, that's a good question. Just rattling off the top of my head, probably telekinesis, like being able to move things with my mind, would come in handy easy. But it'd probably turn me into a really lazy person.
Or you could like just mess around with people and just move things around when they're not there, and then when they come back.
Yeah, that would be
different
cool.
place.
But then you could levitate yourself, and then you could fly.
True.
So flying, I guess, is like the ultimate childhood fantasy.
And then like you wouldn't have to spend 14 hours on a bus from city to city.
I could just Superman my way across the world.
That would be pretty cool. But Adrian, a massive thank you for taking the time out and allowing me to interview you. Good luck with the gig tonight, and good luck with the rest of the tour as well.
Pleasure, mate. All the best.